Upfront and Outspoken with Bob Williams. If you love the Constitution,
man is not free unless government is limited.
if you love freedom,
As government expands, liberty contracts.
if you believe in personal responsibility, if you believe America is still the greatest nation on earth, then get ready for an experience you'll never forget. This is Upfront and Outspoken. Here's your host, Bob Williams.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag, rule their red, white, and
I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore!"
That's right. That's right. This is Upfront Outspoken. Of course, I'm your host, Bob Williams, and yes, I am mad as hell. You know, every time you hear that, you got to know that it's time for my weekly rant. What am I mad as hell about? Simple. The Veterans Administration. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm going to lay on you a very personal experience I had with them yesterday, and it seems that this has been ongoing ever since I moved down here from the state of Wisconsin. Now, anybody that knows me personally, you know, outside of the mic, knows I have a condition that's called bipolarism. In other words, you know what the hell that means. And my bipolar is on the depressive side. I'm not going to deny that. There's times I get really good moods, and then there's times I get, the really down in the dumps, real super down in the dumps. Well, I've had this condition since I was very young. Well, being a veteran, I go to, the Veterans Administration for any of my medications or, doctor's appointments for like my eyes or, everybody's got conditions. Well, yesterday I learned some very fascinating and yet disturbing things from the Veterans Administration. Now, anyone who knows that if you're on medication, especially if you're on a medication to either help you sleep or help you control a condition, that there's your doctor, and if you have a psychologist or psychiatrist, they work in conjunction with each other. They talk back and forth, so that way there's this ongoing treatment plan between your physician and the mental health experts. That's the way it's supposed to be, correct? Correct me if I'm mistaken. Is that that's the way it's supposed to be? Well, I learned yesterday that the Department of Veteran Affairs departmentalize what goes on. Now, what do I mean by that? The left hand has no effing clue what the right hand does. That's right, you heard me right. What goes on in the mental health department of the Veterans Administration, they have no concept of what the medical side is doing, or vice versa. And that's the way it is in Arkansas. I don't know about other states, but that is the way it is in Arkansas. The left hand does not know what the right hand is doing. And so here you're going to have problems, and I see the problems, and I got extremely, extremely angry yesterday. I mean, I didn't yell, scream, or that, but yes, I got extremely angry at the fact that the left hand has no idea what the right hand is doing. So I proposed the question to my psychologist yesterday, how come you guys don't talk? And she says, well, that's just the way it is down here. That's not the way it's supposed to be. If you're on kind of any medications, you would think your doctor, as well as the psychiatrist that issued any kind of medications, would definitely be talking back and forth to work out a proper and a treatment plan for you. Yet it seems that the Veterans Administration forgoes this. Now, I don't know how many other people out there have experienced a similar situation, and I hope you send me an email. Let me know if you have had the same problems. So if you do, just send me an email, kkrp1610@yahoo.com. I'll be more than happy to read your email on the air, and maybe we can get a discussion as to why this is occurring, because you as a patient need to know that there is some sort of plan, and you would assume that it would, coincide. Both would work together. Both people would work together. Yet, guess what? That's not what is happening. That's not what's happening. So, like I said, it's crazy how they do it up here. When I was back in Wisconsin, that it was different, because medical and then the people in the mental health area worked together. They consulted. They looked over the notes together. If there was an issue, they all sat down in a group. They talked about it. And there, it seemed, you had more, I don't want to say you had the control, but there was a definite treatment plan set aside, and they would go over it with you after they discussed it. If you had an issue with one part of it or another part of it, you had the ability to talk about it and explain yourself. But here, there is no such thing. And then I find out, and this is another thing that disturbed me, that the only way the medical side of this would get into the picture at all, except maybe occasionally looking at files, is if the mental health department made a formal request to the doctor to get involved. Now, then I also posed other questions, which, we've all been hearing lately about, the military, of course, has dropped, the don't ask, don't tell. We have openly gay servicemen and women. There's also, out there, as well as there are other individuals in the military who are, going under transition, as I say, from male to female or female to male. So I asked some other questions regarding what happens when these people come into the system as being served under the Veterans Administration. Again, I found some very, very disturbing issues. Number one, the Veterans Administration does not allow for any type of transitioning except for hormonal treatment. Now, if the person say, all right, they want to start feminizing or they want to start masculizing their body. Let's say if a woman wants to go from female to male and she needs a mastectomy in order to achieve that, guess what? The military will do that. They'll do that. All she has to claim is that her family has a history of breast cancer, and they'll do it. Boom, no problem. However, for those who are transitioning from male to female, guess what? They get nothing except hormonal therapy. But even here's the problem. It has to be initially started from a doctor on the outside of the Veterans Administration. The VA will not just suddenly say, okay, we're going to start you on this hormonal regime. And then it gets even more complex. Okay? There is no one within the Veterans Administration that is qualified to deal with that element of veterans. No one able within the Veterans Administration who is qualified to deal with the gay community within the Veterans Administration. So you have doctors who are only general practitioners. If you go to a Veterans Administration clinic, they're general practitioners. They're not specialists. So there is no specialist for individuals who are gay, for individuals who are going through transition, they're transgender. That's not going to happen. And then even here, if your mental health provider is made fully aware of your condition and they make a recommendation to the attending physician, the attending physician can say, I am not going to accept this individual as a patient. Yeah, you heard me right. They have the right to decline you as a patient. And this is within the Veterans Administration, folks. This is within the Veterans Administration. Veterans who served our country, and because they have these issues, are going to be could be potentially be denied medical treatment. Okay? Now, you understand what I'm saying here? Why is it that a governmentally supported organization, especially the Veterans Administration, has the ability to set these policies and have them intact when in the outside world it's not like that? There are specialists to treat individuals with various conditions. If you have a heart condition, you go to a heart specialist. If you have an ankle problem, you go to a specialist. If you have other conditions, you can find a specialist, but not within the Veterans Administration. They do not have that capability. So this is a small percentage of veterans who suffer from various conditions, myself included. I'm going to include myself in this group because I do have a condition. It's called being bipolar. Yet my doctor and my psychologist and the people at the mental health department have to request my doctor to become involved in any form of treatment plan. And if my doctor says, well, no, I don't want to get involved because of religious reasons or other legitimate reasons, I would be bounced out of that group. That group. And that's what they call them. They call them a team. I would be bounced from that team, go to the very bottom of the list of any veteran that came in before me, and be put on a waiting list to see a new doctor that they select. I don't have a choice. They pick the doctor. If I don't like that doctor, yes, I can request a new doctor, but then I go back to the bottom of the list. This is how the Veterans Administration operates, folks. This is stuff I learned about yesterday. So here we are neglecting what our veterans need, what is going on to our veterans, and how our veterans are treated. You've all heard about the scandal that started in Phoenix. Everybody that's listened to the news has heard about that scandal. But there are other things within the VA that you do not know, and things that I've been finding out as I go along. And what I found out yesterday, like I said, was indeed disturbing. I start talking too much and I get cotton mouth. All right, but like I said, this is what's going on. So let's just break this down to that core unit. Those individuals who need to have both the mental health and the medical communities to be working together. Okay? Like I said, within the Veterans Administration, if your doctor does not agree with what the people at the mental health say, he can withdraw. He doesn't have to do anything. He can withdraw. And then, like I said, the second he withdraws, he severs those ties at the request of the mental health people, guess what? You're screwed. You're screwed. And if he pulls back and says, well, I'm not going to get involved with this patient, now you go back on a waiting list. And that's where you're going to have instances such as in Phoenix occur, because they're going to doctor their records to say, well, we got this person in here early, and between point A and point B, a lot can happen. If you have PTSD or you have some other condition, everyone knows if it's a severe case of PTSD, it can lead to schizophrenia, and in turn, the person could kill themselves or other things. In fact, one person actually did that, committed suicide right in front of a VA office because that was the only way he felt he could get treatment. This is the reality, folks. This is the reality of what's going on within our own Veterans Administration. And like I said, I'm going to go back to that one core group, the gays and the transgendered individuals. If the doctor, and there are so many, we've heard it time and time again, so many times, that there are doctors, there are people out there who claim that this is a mental health issue, that it can be treated with therapy, and we've heard all the concoctions, we've heard all the lies, basically. I'm under the belief that if you are gay, or if you are a individual who needs to go through this transition of being male to female or female to male, it's not a mental health issue, but you were born this way. It's genetic. And there are tests out there to prove that it is genetic. I don't know if you knew this or not, but time and time again, I believe it's called a CAT scan, a CT scan, where to check your brain or whatever. I believe that is, and if there's somebody out in the medical community listening to me, they might be able to clarify that. But there is a part of the human brain that if you are a biological male or a biological female, there are differences. There are extreme differences. Well, they have found in time and time again that a individual who is transitioning from male to female or female to male, when they have done or performed these CAT scans, that particular part of the brain is identical to their biological counterpart. That's right. If you have a female to male or male to female transgendered individual, that particular part of the brain is identical to a biological male or biological female. Period. That has been scientifically proven. So how does that happen? It just doesn't happen overnight. You just don't, suddenly wake up and realize, hey, I'm this or I'm that or I'm gay or whatever. There's scientific evidence to support that this is genetic. So getting back to the VA regarding this, if your doctor still goes by I guess it's a book, it's a clinical book saying, what are mental illnesses. And if you look under individuals who are gay from the ones way back when, they're saying that this is a mental condition, it can be treated. Well, they're wrong. But if that doctor that you are seeing, your actual physician, is under the sight that this is a mental condition, therefore I am not going to become involved, or I have religious reasons why I do not want to get involved, they can withdraw from your case. Even though the mental health department made the request to that doctor to become actively involved in a treatment plan. This is what's going on in the VA. This is what, I came face to face with when I talked to my psychologist yesterday, and I have to thank that individual. I'm not going to say if it's a male or female because none of your damn business. But when I talked to my psychologist, I was informed that this is the case. So I did checking. I contacted my medical team, talked to the head nurse, and the nurse told me what needed to be done. Well, once again, I turned around, made a phone call back to my psychologist, told that individual what needed to be done, and it's like even my psychologist was surprised at what was learned. So the next time, if you're a veteran and you are going there for a PTSD or some other mental health issue, I encourage you very highly that if you are on medications from the mental health department, that you have your psychologist or your psychiatrist send that request to your doctor so your doctor becomes involved in whatever treatment plan you are under. Because if you don't, you're going to find out the hard way that the mental health and the medical areas do not talk to each other. They do not, unless they are brought into your treatment plan. Now, a lot of you are saying, oh, Bob, you're wrong. No, I'm not. This I experienced yesterday. That's why there was no Upfront Outspoken yesterday, because I had to go up for some lab tests and I had to be up there very early in the morning. But this is what I found out at about little after 9 o'clock yesterday morning. And like I said, it was very disturbing, and I finally didn't get all the answers I wanted until almost 3 o'clock that afternoon. So I'm encouraging every veteran out there, I don't care who you are, I don't care what your mental health state is, I don't care, any of that. I am telling you right now that if you do not have your mental health provider, contact your doctor and get your team involved in any potential treatment program for you, then they are failing you in their ultimate goal of making you feel better about yourself and being able to become a productive part of society. Anyone that knows the Veterans Administrations, they have a goal. Yet it seems that they are falling behind in that goal very badly. And we as veterans are being neglected because the VA does not live up to what everyone else in the community believes. You hear the Veterans Administration say, we have goals for our patients, we have goals for our veterans in order to be a productive part of society, to heal. And that's kind of the way it is, to be able to heal. All right. In some instances, that healing process needs the cooperation of both the mental health and the physical. And they have to take the patient's condition to heart. And they're not doing it. They're not doing it because no one talks to each other. No one talks and no one coincides with the other. It's like I said earlier, the left hand has no idea what the right hand is doing. This is not the way it's supposed to be. As veterans, we need to become aware of this to get more proactive in our own care. Because if you don't, you're going to fall in the cracks. And if your doctor doesn't like you because of one reason or another, because you have an issue he or she does not agree with, then you go to the bottom of the pile. Is this the way we want to be remembered in treating our veterans? Excuse me. I don't think so. We, as veterans, when we went into the recruiter, and I'm going to talk about the volunteers. I'm not talking about the draftees because, they've got issues, and I'm proud that they served. Many of them were, even though they were drafted, served our country proud. But I'm also talking about those of us who enlisted because we felt we owed our country this. We owed our country time of service. And we went where we were needed. Veterans my age was Vietnam. My dad, World War II. My grandfather, World War I. Other veterans in the all-volunteer army, Afghanistan, Iraq, Panama. Yes. Those veterans. They volunteered. And yet now we're finding that the Veterans Administration has loopholes that need to be sealed. It's simple as that.